It was an ordinary Tuesday morning on Earth. People were going about their lives as usual. Children played in schoolyards, farmers worked in fields, and office workers sipped coffee while stuck in traffic. Everything seemed normal, until it wasn't. At exactly 8:47 a.m. UTC, something extraordinary happened. Across the globe, people noticed a strange rumbling sound. It wasn't loud like thunder or sharp like an explosion. Instead, it was deep and resonant, almost like the earth itself was groaning. Then came the sight that would change everything. High above, the sky began to split open. Massive cracks appeared, glowing faintly with an otherworldly light. Through these cracks, enormous metallic shapes emerged. They weren't airplanes, satellites, or anything humans had ever seen before. These objects were colossal, each one bigger than entire cities. Some looked sleek and angular, while others resembled jagged mountains floating in space. Their surfaces shimmered faintly, reflecting sunlight in ways that made them seem almost alive. Panic erupted instantly. People screamed, pointed upward, and grabbed their phones to record what they were seeing. Social media platforms flooded with videos and photos of the mysterious ships. "What is happening?" became the question everyone asked, but no one had answers. Governments scrambled to respond, issuing statements urging calm while simultaneously deploying military forces to monitor the situation. Fighter jets took off from bases around the world, circling the massive structures in awe and confusion. Scientists huddled in labs, trying to analyze data, but nothing made sense. Humanity had never encountered anything like this. Amidst the chaos stood Dr. Emily Carter, a brilliant astrophysicist who worked for NASA's Deep Space Exploration Division. She was in her lab when the phenomenon occurred. Her office overlooked the sprawling campus of NASA's headquarters, and she'd been staring out the window when the first crack appeared in the sky. At first, she thought it might be some kind of atmospheric anomaly, a rare weather event, or even a glitch in satellite imaging. But as more cracks formed, and the massive ships became visible, she realized this was something far beyond anything science had prepared her for. Her phone buzzed incessantly with messages and calls from colleagues and government officials demanding explanations. Yet Emily couldn't focus on any of that. Her mind raced through possibilities. Was this some kind of alien invasion? Had humanity unknowingly triggered something larger than itself? Or could it be a natural cosmic event, albeit one unlike anything ever recorded? As she watched the ships hover silently above, something struck her as odd. Despite their terrifying size and imposing presence, the vessels weren't doing anything aggressive. There were no laser beams firing down at cities, no bombs dropping from the sky. In fact, they didn't appear to be moving at all. It was almost as if they were waiting. For what? She couldn't say. Emily's thoughts were interrupted by a knock on her door. Standing there was Mark Harris, her assistant and closest colleague. His face was pale, his hands trembling slightly as he held a tablet displaying live footage of the ships. "Dr. Carter," he said, his voice shaky. "You need to see this." Hila stepped closer, peering at the screen. The video showed one of the ships up close, captured by a high-altitude drone. Its surface was smooth and metallic, but every few seconds, faint pulses of light rippled across it, like waves on water. "What are those lights?" Emily murmured, leaning in for a better look. "We don't know yet," Mark replied, "but we're picking up readings, strange energy signatures coming from the ships. Nothing matches anything in our databases." Emily frowned. If these ships weren't attacking, then why were they here? And why had they chosen to reveal themselves so dramatically? Whatever the reason, she knew one thing for certain. Humanity was about to face its greatest challenge, and possibly its greatest opportunity. Over the next hour, reports poured in from all corners of the globe. Witnesses described hearing strange sounds, low hums, clicks, and whistles that seemed to emanate from the ships. Others claimed to feel vibrations in their chests, as though the very air around them was charged with energy. Rumors spread quickly, ranging from logical theories to wild conspiracies. Some believed the ships belonged to extraterrestrial beings sent to conquer Earth. Others thought they might be ancient artifacts left behind by a long-lost civilization. A few even suggested it was all an elaborate hoax, orchestrated by governments, to distract from real-world issues. Despite the uncertainty, one fact remained clear: the world had changed forever. By mid-morning, major news networks had dubbed the event the Great Sky Split. Politicians held press conferences, promising transparency and cooperation. Religious leaders called for prayer and reflection. Meanwhile, scientists like Emily worked tirelessly to gather information and make sense of the incomprehensible. As the day wore on, Emily found herself drawn back to the window. She stared at the ships, her heart pounding with equal parts fear and curiosity. What did they want? Why now? And most importantly, how would humanity respond? Little did she know, the answers to those questions would soon thrust her into the center of a global crisis unlike anything the world had ever faced. For now, though, all she could do was watch and wait. The sky above glowed eerily, its cracks widening just enough to remind everyone below that life as they knew it would never be the same again. Hours passed, but the massive ships remained motionless in the sky. Their silence was unnerving. Fighter jets circled them cautiously, their pilots reporting back that the vessels emitted no heat signatures, no radiation, and nothing detectable by human technology. The ships didn't react to any attempts at communication, no radio signals, no laser beams, nothing. It was as if they were ignoring humanity entirely. Back on the ground, fear spread like wildfire. People huddled indoors, glued to their televisions and phones, desperate for updates. Social media buzzed with theories, some logical, others outlandish. Some claimed the ships were alien invaders preparing to wipe out humanity. Others speculated they were ancient machines left behind by a long-lost civilization. Conspiracy theorists argued it was all an elaborate hoax orchestrated by governments to distract from economic collapse or climate change. Amidst the chaos, one question dominated everyone's thoughts. What did these ships want? Dr. Emily Carter was still in her lab, poring over data collected by satellites and drones. Her phone buzzed constantly with messages from colleagues and government officials demanding answers. But Emily couldn't focus on any of that. Something about the ships felt off. They weren't attacking. In fact, they weren't doing anything at all. Why would beings capable of splitting the sky simply hover there without making a move? Her assistant, Mark Harris, burst into the room, his face pale. "Dr. Carter," he said breathlessly, "you need to see this?" He held up his tablet, which displayed live footage of one of the ships. A faint pulsing light was emanating from its surface, almost like Morse code. Emily's eyes widened. "That wasn't there before," she murmured, leaning closer to the screen. "It's some kind of signal," Mark nodded. "We've been analyzing it. It's not random, it's repeating in patterns. Could it be a message?" Before Emily could respond, another knock came at the door. This time it was General Robert Hayes, a high-ranking military officer tasked with coordinating Earth's response to the crisis. His uniform was immaculate, but his expression betrayed his unease. "Dr. Carter," he said, stepping inside, "we need you at the UN headquarters immediately. All top scientists and experts are being summoned for an emergency summit." Emily hesitated. "What's happening?" "The ships just sent us a message," General Hayes replied grimly. Every electronic device on the planet lit up simultaneously, with the same text. In every language, he handed her a printed copy of the message. It read, "We come in peace. Prepare your leaders for dialogue." Emily stared at the paper, her mind racing. If these beings wanted peace, why had they arrived with such overwhelming force? Why unveil themselves so dramatically? And what did they mean by prepare your leaders? General Hayes gave her a moment to process before continuing. "You're one of the best minds we have, Dr. Carter. We need you there to help us understand who or what we're dealing with." Without hesitation, Emily agreed. Within minutes, she and Mark were escorted to a secure military aircraft bound for New York City, where the United Nations had convened an emergency summit. As they boarded the plane, Emily glanced out the window. Below, crowds gathered in streets, pointing upward at the ships. Above, the cracks in the sky glowed faintly, casting an eerie light over the world. The flight was tense. No one spoke much, each person lost in their own thoughts. Emily kept replaying the message in her head. We come in peace. But why? Did those words feel hollow? Was it truly peace they sought or something else? When the plane landed at JFK Airport, military vehicles awaited them. Soldiers armed with rifles surrounded the perimeter as Emily and the other experts were rushed to the UN headquarters. Inside, the atmosphere was electric. Representatives from every nation filled the assembly hall, their faces etched with anxiety. Giant screens displayed live feeds of the ships hovering silently above major cities. As Emily took her seat, she noticed something peculiar. Through the windows of the building, she could see flashes of light coming from the nearest ship. At a first glance, they seemed random, but upon closer inspection, she realized they followed a pattern, pulsing rhythmically, almost like a heartbeat. Could it be trying to communicate directly with them? Before she could investigate further, the meeting began. The Secretary General of the United Nations stepped onto the podium, his voice trembling slightly as he addressed the crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, he began, today marks a turning point in human history. For centuries, we have wondered if we are alone in the universe. Now we have our answer. But with this revelation comes great responsibility and great danger. He paused, allowing his words to sink in. These beings claim to come in peace, yet their arrival has caused panic and confusion worldwide. Our task now is to determine their true intentions and ensure the survival of our species. A murmur rippled through the room. Some representatives nodded in agreement, while others whispered anxiously among themselves. Emily leaned forward, her attention fixed on the Secretary General. We must act quickly, he continued. To that end, I have assembled a team of the brightest minds from around the globe. Together we will establish contact with these beings and seek answers to the questions plaguing us all. At that moment, the lights in the room dimmed and the giant screens flickered to life. A figure materialized on the display. An alien being unlike anything humanity had imagined. Its translucent body glowed faintly, and its voice resonated, telepathically in everyone's minds. Humans, it began. We are the Valith, guardians of the cosmos. For millennia, we have observed your species grow and evolve. We have seen your wars, your greed, your destruction of worlds, not just yours but others you have yet to discover, and we have feared you. Gasps filled the room. Feared them? After everything humanity had endured seeing today, how could these advanced beings possibly fear humans? The Valith continued, explaining that their arrival wasn't meant to conquer, but to warn. They revealed that Earth's rapid technological advancement had caught their attention, not because it was impressive, but because it posed a threat. Humans were developing weapons capable of interstellar travel and mass destruction. Left unchecked, humanity might one day pose a danger to the galaxy. But there is hope, the Valith said. You possess creativity, resilience, and compassion, unmatched by any species we've encountered. Prove to us that you can wield your power responsibly and we will leave you in peace. With that, the transmission ended abruptly, leaving the assembly hall in stunned silence. Emily sat frozen, her mind reeling. The Valith's words echoed in her head. They feared humanity. But why? What had they seen during their observations that made them so cautious? And what did they mean by prove yourselves? As the meeting adjourned, Emily knew one thing for certain. Humanity's fate now rested on how it responded to this challenge. For better or worse, the next chapter of Earth's story had begun, and she intended to play a part in shaping it. The days following the Valith's message were a whirlwind of confusion, fear, and debate. Governments around the world scrambled to respond, but no one could agree on how to proceed. Some nations saw the aliens' warning as justification for increased militarization, arguing that humanity needed to prepare for potential conflict. Others advocated for disarmament, claiming cooperation was the only way forward. Protests erupted worldwide, with millions taking to the streets to demand unity or answers. Dr. Emily Carter found herself at the center of the storm. As one of the leading scientists invited to the UN summit, she had become a key advisor to the task force charged with responding to the Veilith. Her expertise made her invaluable, yet it also placed immense pressure on her shoulders. Every decision she made or didn't make could have far-reaching consequences. Late one night, while reviewing data collected from the Star Destroyers, Emily stumbled upon something peculiar. Hidden within the pulsing lights she'd noticed earlier was a pattern, a mathematical sequence tied to Earth's orbit. It wasn't random. It was deliberate. After hours of analysis, she realized it was more than just a signal. It was a map leading to a specific location deep in space. Her heart raced as she pieced together the implications. Could this be the key to understanding the Veilith's true intentions? Were they trying to guide humanity toward something or warn them about it? Whatever the case, Emily knew she couldn't ignore it. She immediately called an emergency meeting with the task force. When she presented her findings, the room fell silent. On the large screen, Emily displayed her analysis. The pulsing lights translated into coordinates pointing to a distant star system. She explained her theory that the Veilith might be testing humanity's curiosity and ingenuity by leaving clues rather than outright explanations. Not everyone was convinced. Several members dismissed her idea as speculative, insisting humanity should focus on immediate survival rather than chasing mysteries. One representative, a stern military general, argued, "We don't have time for wild goose chases. We need to prepare for war." But Emily refused to back down. "If we ignore this," she said firmly, "we risk missing the chance to understand why they're here and what they want from us. This could be our opportunity to prove ourselves, to show them we're capable of thinking beyond fear and aggression." Her words struck a chord with some members of the task force, but the majority remained hesitant. Frustrated but determined, Emily decided to act independently. Using her connections within NASA, she secretly assembled a small team to investigate the coordinates. Among them were trusted colleagues like Mark Harris, who shared her belief that uncovering the truth was worth the risk. Their mission was risky, unauthorized, and potentially treasonous, but Emily believed it was necessary. If they could uncover what the Veilith were hiding, they might find a way to secure humanity's future. Into the unknown weeks later, Emily's team launched a covert expedition aboard a modified spacecraft named Odyssey. Traveling faster than any human-made vessel before, they followed the map to a distant star system located near the edge of the Milky Way. The journey took days, during which the crew barely slept, their minds consumed by anticipation and dread. What would they find when they arrived? Would it confirm their hopes or shatter them completely? Finally, they reached their destination. What awaited them was breathtaking. Surrounding a dying star was a sprawling orbital station, its design, both alien and eerily beautiful. Massive spires jutted out from its surface, glowing faintly with hues of blue and green. Nearby, asteroids rich in rare minerals floated lazily in orbit, their surfaces glinting like jewels under the dim light of the fading sun. "Is this real?" Mark whispered, his voice barely audible over the hum of the ship's engines. "It's real," Emily replied, her eyes wide with wonder. "And it's incredible." After docking cautiously, the team ventured inside the station. Its interior was vast and labyrinthine, filled with corridors lined with glowing panels and strange symbols etched into the walls. At the heart of the station, they discovered a chamber containing archives unlike anything they'd ever seen. Using handheld scanners, Emily and her team began deciphering the information stored there. To their astonishment, the archives detailed the Veilith's history, not just their role as guardians of the cosmos, but their origins as conquerors. Long ago, the Veilith had been driven by fear and paranoia, much like humanity today. They had waged wars across galaxies, destroying countless civilizations in their quest for dominance. But then came a turning point. The Veilith, nearly annihilated, themselves through their own greed and hubris. Realizing their mistakes, they vowed to change. They dismantled their weapons, redirected their resources toward preservation and exploration, and dedicated themselves to protecting the universe from repeating their errors. They weren't always peaceful, Emily murmured as she read through the records. They learned the hard way, just like we're being forced to now. The team also uncovered evidence suggesting the Valith had observed humanity for centuries, documenting its progress and setbacks. They noted humanity's capacity for creativity, resilience, and compassion, but also its penchant for destruction. The Valith's arrival at Earth wasn't meant to dominate, but to guide. By presenting humanity with a challenge, they hoped to steer it away from self-destruction. As Emily absorbed this knowledge, she felt a mix of emotions: humility, awe, and determination. The Valith weren't invaders or saviors, they were teachers, offering humanity a chance to grow beyond its flaws. Returning home. With the information secured, Emily and her team prepared to return to Earth. The journey back was tense, knowing they carried secrets that could alter the course of human history. When they finally landed, Emily wasted no time sharing her findings with the world. At a global press conference broadcast live to billions, she revealed everything: the Valith's past as conquerors, their transformation into guardians, and their hope for humanity's redemption. Her speech resonated deeply, sparking a movement toward peace and collaboration. Weapons programs were dismantled, resources redirected toward renewable energy and space exploration. Slowly but surely, humanity began proving itself worthy of trust, not just to the Valith, but to itself. For Emily, the experience was transformative. She had gone from being a skeptical scientist to a beacon of hope, someone who dared to believe in humanity's potential despite its flaws. As she gazed skyward one last time, watching the star destroyers depart, she felt a profound sense of optimism. Humanity's journey was far from over, but for the first time, it truly felt limitless. The revelation of the Valith's true intention sent shockwaves across the globe. For days, humanity wrestled with the weight of what it had learned. The knowledge that an advanced alien civilization once destroyed itself through war and greed, and now feared humanity might do the same, was both humbling and terrifying. It forced people to confront uncomfortable truths about their own species: the endless cycles of violence, the exploitation of resources, and the disregard for long-term consequences. Dr. Emily Carter had become a central figure in this new reality. Her unauthorized mission to uncover the Valith's secrets had sparked global discussions about humanity's path forward. Some hailed her as a hero, while others criticized her actions as reckless. Despite the backlash, Emily remained steadfast in her belief that the information she brought back was vital, not just for understanding the Valith, but for shaping Earth's future. As governments and organizations debated how to respond, divisions began to emerge. On one side were those who argued for disarmament and international cooperation. They believed humanity needed to prove its worthiness by dismantling weapons of mass destruction, investing in sustainable technologies, and fostering unity among nations. "We've been given a second chance," they said. "Let's not waste it." On the other side were those who saw the Valith's warning as a call to arms. These voices, often fueled by fear and nationalism, insisted that humanity must prepare for potential conflict. "If the Valith are testing us," they argued, "we can't afford to appear weak. We need stronger militaries, better defenses, and advanced technology to protect ourselves if things go wrong." The tension between these two ideologies reached a boiling point. Protests erupted worldwide, with millions taking to the streets. In cities like New York, London, and Tokyo, crowds chanted slogans demanding peace and collaboration. Meanwhile, in capitals such as Moscow, Beijing, and Washington, military leaders pushed for increased funding to develop cutting-edge weapon systems. Amidst the chaos, Emily found herself caught in the middle. She was invited to speak at conferences, attend high-level meetings, and give interviews to media outlets. Everywhere she went, people asked the same question: what should humanity do? Her answer was always the same. "We have a choice," she would say. "We can let fear drive us apart, or we can rise above it." The Valith didn't come here to conquer us, they came to guide us. Let's show them, and ourselves, that we're capable of change. But convincing others wasn't easy. Even within her own team, opinions varied. Mark Harris, her trusted assistant, was torn. "I want to believe in humanity's potential," he admitted during one late-night conversation. "But look at our history. Every time we've had the chance to make things better, we've chosen selfishness and greed instead. How do we know this time will be different?" Emily sighed, leaning back in her chair. "Because we have no other option," she replied. "If we don't change now, we'll destroy ourselves, or someone else will do it for us." The Valith gave us a roadmap. It's up to us to follow it. A spark of hope. While global tensions simmered, small signs of hope began to emerge. Communities around the world started coming together in ways they hadn't before. In Africa, rival tribes put aside decades of conflict to work on joint projects aimed at combating desertification. In Europe, countries pooled resources to build massive renewable energy farms, reducing reliance on fossil fuels. And in Asia, tech companies collaborated to create open-source platforms for sharing scientific advancements, ensuring knowledge benefited everyone, not just the wealthy or powerful. Even individuals played a role. Social media campaigns encouraged people to reduce waste, plant trees, and support local businesses. Artists painted murals depicting unity and resilience, while musicians composed songs celebrating humanity's shared dreams. For the first time in years, there was a sense that, despite their differences, people could still find common ground. Emily watched these developments with cautious optimism. She knew real change wouldn't happen overnight, but every step forward mattered. Still, she couldn't shake the feeling that something bigger was coming. The Valith hadn't left Earth yet, and their ships continued to loom ominously in the sky. What were they waiting for? One evening, as she sat alone in her lab reviewing data from the orbital station, Emily noticed something unusual. Buried deep within the archives was a file she hadn't seen before. It contained detailed plans for a device unlike anything humanity had ever built. According to the notes accompanying the schematics, the device was designed to harness energy directly from stars, a clean, limitless power source capable of revolutionizing life on Earth. Her hands trembled as she studied the blueprints. Could this be the gift the Valith hinted at during their initial message? If humanity could replicate this technology, it would eliminate the need for fossil fuels and nuclear reactors, addressing two of the planet's biggest environmental challenges. Excited but wary, Emily shared her discovery with the task force. Once again, reactions were mixed. Some saw the device as a lifeline, an opportunity to rebuild Earth and demonstrate humanity's ability to innovate responsibly. Others viewed it as dangerous, fearing the technology could fall into the wrong hands or be misused for destructive purposes. "We can't ignore this," Emily argued passionately during a heated meeting. "This isn't just about proving ourselves to the Valith, it's about securing our future. Imagine a world where no one has to fight over resources because we have enough for everyone. That's what this technology offers us." Eventually, after hours of debate, the task force agreed to proceed cautiously. Teams of engineers and scientists were assembled to study the blueprints and begin constructing prototypes under strict supervision. Emily volunteered to oversee the project, knowing full well the risks involved. If successful, it could unite humanity and earn the Valith's trust. But if it failed, or worse, led to disaster, the consequences would be catastrophic. Testing the limits months passed, and progress on the Star Energy device was slow but steady. Challenges arose almost daily, forcing the team to rethink designs and solve problems they'd never encountered before. Materials strong enough to withstand stellar radiation had to be developed. Algorithms capable of predicting solar flares and managing energy output had to be written, and ethical guidelines had to be established to ensure the technology was used responsibly. Throughout it all, Emily remained at the forefront, guiding the team with patience and determination. Late nights became routine, and coffee became her constant companion. Yet even in moments of exhaustion, she felt a sense of purpose she'd rarely experienced before. This wasn't just science. It was hope made tangible. Meanwhile, public interest in the project grew. News outlets covered every milestone, turning the team into unlikely celebrities. People began referring to them as the Star Builders, a nickname that stuck as quickly as it spread. Children drew pictures of glowing machines powering cities, while adults dreamed of a cleaner, brighter future. But not everyone celebrated the initiative. Critics warned that relying on alien technology was risky, arguing that humanity should focus on solving its problems using its own ingenuity. Others accused the project of being elitist, claiming only wealthy nations stood to benefit. Tensions flared, and protests occasionally turned violent. Despite the opposition, the team pressed on. Finally, after nearly a year of relentless effort, the first prototype was ready for testing. The site chosen for the experiment was a remote desert in Australia, far from populated areas in case something went wrong. Dozens of cameras captured the event, broadcasting live to billions of viewers around the world. As Emily stood beside the towering machine, her heart pounded with anticipation. She glanced at Mark, who gave her a nervous thumbs up. Then, with a deep breath, she activated the controls. For a moment, nothing happened. Silence filled the air as everyone held their breath. Then, slowly, the device began to hum. A faint glow emanated from its core, growing brighter with each passing second. Suddenly, beams of light shot skyward, connecting to the sun itself. Energy surged through the system, lighting up the surrounding area like daylight. Cheers erupted from the crowd, gathered nearby. Tears streamed down Emily's face as she realized what they had achieved. Against all odds, humanity had taken its first step toward a sustainable future, one powered by the stars themselves. A message to the stars: with the success of the star energy device, humanity proved it was capable of more than destruction. Governments began dismantling outdated weapons programs, redirecting funds toward education, healthcare, and environmental restoration. International treaties were signed, pledging cooperation over competition. Slowly but surely the world transformed. Above, the Veilith watched silently. Their ships remained motionless, their presence a constant reminder of the stakes. Then one day, without warning, they departed. The cracks in the sky sealed shut, leaving behind clear blue skies and a renewed sense of possibility. In their wake, they left a final gift: additional blueprints for technology that would allow humans to explore the stars sustainably. As Emily gazed upward one last time, she felt a profound sense of gratitude. Humanity's journey was far from over, but for the first time, it truly felt limitless. The departure of the Veilith marked a new chapter in human history. For weeks after their ships vanished, people around the world struggled to process what had happened. The cracks in the sky that had once terrified them were now gone, replaced by clear blue horizons and star-filled nights. Yet, despite the absence of the alien guardians, their influence lingered. Their message and their gift had ignited a spark within humanity, one that refused to fade. Dr. Emily Carter stood on the rooftop of her lab late one evening, staring up at the stars. She often came here to think, finding solace in the vastness of the cosmos. Tonight, however, her mind wasn't racing with unanswered questions or scientific theories. Instead, she felt a deep sense of calm, a rare emotion for someone who had spent years chasing discoveries and solutions. The star energy device, which the world had dubbed Solara, was operational across multiple continents. Cities once powered by coal and oil now thrived on clean, renewable energy, harnessed directly from the sun. Smog-choked skies cleared, forests began to regrow, and rivers flowed cleaner than they had in decades. It was as if Earth itself was healing, thanks to humanity's newfound commitment to sustainability. But Solara was only the beginning. The additional blueprints left behind by the Veilith hinted at even greater possibilities. Technology capable of propelling humanity into the stars. These weren't weapons or tools of conquest. They were designs for spacecraft, terraforming equipment, and communication arrays. Each blueprint was accompanied by detailed instructions, written in languages humanity could understand. It was as though the Valith had faith in Earth's ability to use these gifts wisely. Emily couldn't help but smile as she thought about how far humanity had come in such a short time. Just months ago, nations were preparing for war, fearing an alien invasion. Now they were working together, united by a shared vision of exploration and progress. Even skeptics who had initially dismissed the Valith's intentions were beginning to see the value in collaboration. Still, challenges remained. Not everyone embraced the changes brought about by Solara and the subsequent technological advancements. Some industries resisted, clinging to outdated practices that prioritized profit over progress. Others feared that humanity might misuse the Valith's gifts, turning them into tools of exploitation rather than innovation. Protests erupted occasionally, reminding everyone that unity didn't come easily. It required constant effort and compromise. Despite these obstacles, Emily believed humanity was on the right path. Every breakthrough, every act of kindness, every step toward cooperation reinforced her faith in the species' potential. And she wasn't alone. Millions of people worldwide shared her optimism, inspired by the idea that humanity could rise above its flaws and achieve greatness. Building bridges to the stars. With the success of Solara under their belt, the global community turned its attention to the next phase of the Valith's legacy: interstellar travel. Engineers and scientists worked tirelessly to construct the first prototype spacecraft based on the aliens' blueprints. Dubbed Odyssey 2, in honor of Emily's original mission, the vessel was unlike anything humanity had ever built. Sleek and streamlined, it featured advanced propulsion systems capable of reaching speeds previously thought impossible. Its hull was reinforced with materials designed to withstand the harsh conditions of deep space, while its interior housed state-of-the-art life support systems and artificial gravity generators. The project attracted talent from all corners of the globe. Astronauts, engineers, biologists, linguists, and philosophers collaborated side by side, each contributing their expertise to ensure the mission's success. Emily played a key role in overseeing the construction, drawing on her experiences during the covert expedition to the orbital station. Her insights proved invaluable, helping the team navigate complex challenges and avoid potential pitfalls. As the launch date approached, excitement reached fever pitch. Billions tuned in to watch live broadcasts of the final preparations, eager to witness humanity's first steps beyond the solar system. Schools organized viewing parties, families gathered around televisions, and social media buzzed with anticipation. For many, this wasn't just a scientific milestone, it was a symbol of hope, proof that humanity could overcome its differences and strive for something greater. On the day of the launch, Emily stood alongside her team at Mission Control, her heart pounding with nervous excitement. The countdown echoed through the room, each second stretching endlessly yet passing in the blink of an eye. When the engines roared to life and Odyssey Secu lifted off, a cheer erupted so loud it seemed to shake the very foundations of the facility. As the spacecraft ascended higher and higher, disappearing into the heavens, Emily felt tears streaming down her face. This moment wasn't just about leaving Earth behind, it was about carrying its lessons forward. Humanity hadn't forgotten its past mistakes. Instead, it had learned from them, using those lessons to build a brighter future. A new dawn months. Later, Odyssey 2 returned triumphantly from its maiden voyage. The crew reported breathtaking discoveries, distant planets teeming with life, cosmic phenomena never before observed, and evidence of ancient civilizations long extinct. Their findings reignited humanity's fascination with the universe, inspiring countless individuals to pursue careers in science, engineering, and exploration. Back on Earth, the impact of the mission was profound. Nations continued to dismantle barriers, forging partnerships that transcended borders and ideologies. Education systems evolved, emphasizing critical thinking, creativity, and empathy. Environmental initiatives flourished, reversing centuries of damage inflicted upon the planet. Slowly but surely, humanity transformed, not because of external pressure but because it chose to do so. For Emily, The journey had been both personal and universal. She had started as a skeptical scientist, driven by curiosity and a desire for answers. Along the way, she had become a leader, a symbol of resilience and hope. Her work hadn't just changed the course of human history, it had reminded everyone that no challenge was insurmountable when faced with determination and unity. One evening, as she sat on the same rooftop where she had watched the Valith depart, Emily reflected on everything that had transpired. The stars above twinkled brightly, their light carrying whispers of possibilities yet unseen. Somewhere out there, perhaps the Valith were watching too, proud of what they had helped humanity achieve. Emily smiled softly, feeling a quiet sense of fulfillment. Humanity still had much to learn, much to explore, and much to improve. But for the first time in its history, it truly believed in its ability to grow, adapt, and thrive, not just for itself, but for the sake of the cosmos it now called home. And, as she gazed upward, lost in the infinite expanse of the night sky, she knew one thing for certain. Humanity's story among the stars had only just begun.